I think I'm a special one.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
Welcome back on the Half Turn fans. Episode 17. We're ready to talk about some rondos.
I think you are you might have to be the official intro guy on the Half Turn podcast. Pretty good, at least as a change up.
Yeah.
So what are you wearing?
Wearing, I don't know if I've worn it before, but it's a Portland Timbers jersey. Darlington Nagbe on the back. I think I've worn it before.
I honestly don't remember you wearing it, but it's a cool jersey. I walked downstairs, we're ready to do the podcast. I was like, nice. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. So I've worn this before, maybe on like episode 3 or 4, but this is just the standard like 2017-18 Man City light blue kit. Special occasion today, right? So Pep Guardiola, manager of Man City, he's known for his rondos, and that's what we're talking about today. If you follow us on Instagram, I kind of gave out a hint. If you really know me, you know, like I love doing rondos as a coach, as a player. Like I think it's awesome. So I kind of want.
Dude's always doing rondos. Everywhere you look.
Yeah, I just even a rondo by myself. I'm just rondoing.
Rondo.
Sometimes I'm out in public, I just start rondoing people. It's crazy. Meg splits, ear flicks, all the stuff. So yeah, last episode, you know, we kind of gave a rundown on like some European leagues and whatever. This one, like I said, we're not really going to talk about any of that. It's just rondos, right? And I don't know, maybe we haven't talked about this, but like I had some notes that like I kind of had from before, just as like, you know, to help me with coaching and like different variations of rondos that I kind of stored away. And so I kind of brought it out and refined the notes a little bit for today. And then we'll see if Chad has any other thoughts, anything to add, or maybe you don't like rondos. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because
some coaches, like, they see it differently. So
we'll see.
So I figured I started this with what is a rondo, right? Basically a possession-based game. One team is trying to maintain possession from the other team. So typically, like here in the U.S., a lot of people call it a 5v2. It's basically the same thing. So 5 players stand in some shape, basically a circle, and 2 defenders in the middle. They try and win the ball. If you win the ball, then you switch with the person who gave the ball away, and it's 5v2 again.
But it could be more than 5.
It could be more than 5. It could be less than 2. We'll talk about the variations later, but essentially, like when teams, they'll play just a keep away game, a possession game at practice. This, but in a tighter space. Normally, it's very tight space. So the team in possession is always numbers up. That's what makes it a rondo. By playing numbers up in a tight area, players are forced to make quick decisions about where the pass should go next. So I think that's super important and almost the basis of like any high level player, right? You're not going to get far by not being able to make decisions quickly.
Yeah, I think since it's a smaller type drill, like you got to be able to know where the next pass got to go.
Definitely. So at the higher levels, we'll talk about this later, but a lot more one touch, and then like there's some 2 touch, and then at the lower levels, you know, sometimes there's 3. In a regular possession game, you might have unlimited touches.
Yeah.
As the levels increase, play should be faster, go to unlimited touch, 2 touch, 1 touch, you know. So there's like some controversy over the last few years, and like U.S. soccer came out and like kind of shunned rondos a little bit, especially at the youth level, because they said it wasn't directional, right? So if you think about it,
know that.
Yeah. So we have our typical 5v2, right? It's a circle with 2 players in the middle. There's no goal. So I get it that a young player might not be able to translate that into a game. Because a game, you have 2 goals, you're going one way or the other. But really, the standard rondo, it doesn't have goals. But there's attacking, there's defending. There's ball retention, there's pressing. Some variations have counter pressing. Teaches game-like, I highlighted this in my notes, game-like principles in a way that lets players get plenty of reps in a short time. So these are all my notes, by the way. I didn't like quote this from anybody else. So if a ball's coming to you real quick, you got to 1 touch it or 2 touch it quick. You're thinking ahead. That to me is very game-like. I've heard, you know, obviously there's no goals, but Is it game-like to receive a pass on one foot and play it with the other? Is it game-like to get your head up and know where the next pass is going? So I think the game-like principles are still game-like just because it's not just 2 goals.
I mean, yeah, like what happens in the center of a field, like you got to be able to move the ball around defenders.
Yeah.
It's just a way to get like touches on the ball.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them in like a short period of time.
Yeah.
It's because it's so close.
And I think it's on the coaches, if you're doing a rondo, let's say, it's probably on the coaches that later in the session, you're working on something that is game-like, like more game-like in the terms of goals. But this is a small game-like in a maybe like a smaller game-like, and then you just keep building it out.
Yeah, that's why you usually see it as like a warm-up. Like you get the practice.
Yep.
A few rondos start up, so.
Yeah, a lot of teams, at least here in the U.S., I've never seen anywhere else. They'll use rondos as like maybe before warm-ups, and then after warm-ups, it gets a little bit more intense. But for me, I think it could be even more than that. I think it's more of a you could do it as like a build-out. So maybe you start with a really basic rondo with maybe a variation or two with a couple different focuses, and then you build it up to maybe you combine 2 of the rondos with different restrictions, and then from there it looks more like a just numbers up big possession game. And then maybe from there you add a direction with 2 neutral players or 2 goals.
Can I explain the drill that I explained to you a few weeks ago that I did?
Well, we talk about that when I talk about variations of rondos. So here's some skills. So skills to be learned. I kind of went off on this passing. I always think passing technique should be taught differently, like taught outside of the game. I think it's hard to just teach kids on the fly how to pass, right? Like, so I coach, I talked about it on here. I coach a U9 boys team. They're mostly beginner players. I haven't even taught them how to pass yet. I haven't said like, hey, pass to the inside of your foot. Cause like, do I care? They could learn that in a year. They could learn that in 2 months. I'm still deciding when I want to teach it to them, but I'd rather them get as many reps going past defenders on the ball, like being creative and dangerous, than I do having them pass the ball with the inside of their foot. They could barely even get a pass to somebody anyway. They can't even kick that hard. So why waste their valuable time working on technique that they won't remember than, get the instincts of the game and instilled in them first.
I didn't even know you didn't even teach them passing.
Yeah. I think about it a lot. Like, should I work on it at some point?
Are they good at passing, or they?
So what I found is like when we do a lot of 1v1s, and we get into games, like I stress certain things, and I stress one of my phrases that I always use, make the field big. So they know like one guy has the ball, like just go get to the outside, the touch line, right? And they make the field big. It gives them more space. So they know like when there's space and where they can kick it. A lot of times it's a toe ball or maybe the outside the foot pass, but the fact that the idea is there, like that's not going to change when they learn the right passing technique.
Yeah. Well, when you start teaching them passing, when's that going to be? And
I'm thinking maybe like a little bit through the spring season or maybe into the summer, depending on how good.
When you do it, are you going to be like, all right, now let's pass?
No, all right, let's ping. I was thinking I have like a few like games we could do and like maybe start the game, then introduce like some basic technique like inside of the foot, and then get back to the game and see if they could do it with the inside of their foot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, back to this. But yeah, so if the players don't have the actual technique to pass, like rondos are kind of hard, but you would still be learning the instinct of like, I'm receiving a pass. Here's a defender. Let me pass to the sides, right?
So what's the best, how old do you have to be, like, would you say, to start doing some rondos?
That's interesting. I think it depends on the level of player. That's pretty interesing because I've been thinking about that.
When did you start doing rondos?
Oh, dude, I was behind. I probably started doing rondos like variations of like a 5v2, maybe like freshman year of high school. But I think that's super late. But also you're doing a 5v2 every couple weeks. Like, oh, here's a 5v2. Let's do it at practice. But as we'll get into these rondos, you'll see that I'm a rondo enthusiast. So I think this is going to be funny. I think you should do it every practice, right? Whether it's a couple variations or before practice every day for 15 minutes. It's our vitamins. You take your vitamins every day. You get your sunlight every day. You drink your water every day. Rondos are your vitamins. Do them every day and you get better. That's how you instill certain principles in your players. Like, or even if it's not rondos, if it's a shooting drill or a passing pattern, it's similar. But these are your vitamins.
High praise to the rondos.
Yeah. So when I say passing technique, oh, wait, what was your original question? Oh, about when did I start doing rondo? So yeah, that's obviously I wasn't good at a rondo because what it was to me was there's two people in the middle, call it like monkey in the middle or something. And here's two people in the
Never called
middle.
it monkey in the middle.
All right.
I always just started off playing 5v2.
All right, that's better, I guess. But you're just playing, and then like you don't really understand it. You're just keeping the ball, which is okay at a young age. And I think players, if they're, let's say they're 10 years old and they're really good at dribbling, or they know how to play the game, then you could start it. When I have variations of rondos in here, but I think there's ways to adapt the rondo to a certain age level, right? Maybe it's a 3v1 with unlimited touches. Maybe it's a 3v1, but the player in the middle has to dribble a ball while they're defending so that they're getting touches on the ball. It slows them down, but the three players on the outside are still making decisions. It just slows the pace down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When did you start doing rondos?
I think high school, maybe for my club team.
You played for a higher level club team earlier than I did.
But it wasn't like consistent. Like it'd be like I don't even think we'd get to practice. It might just be like a warm up before games.
You were malnourished, bro. You weren't taking your vitamins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So passing, like I have down here, passing technique. So it could be, keep your core tight, use the inside of your foot, step next to the ball with your plant foot. But there's also like, does this count as passing technique? The speed of the pass? A slow pass might make your team play slower. Is that what you're going for? Are you like, there's times to speed up the game. There's times to slow it down. You know what I mean?
It depends.
Yeah.
Like, how like in a rondo, like you'll be pinging it, get it out, and try and get the one side.
Exactly.
Maybe you might do like a slower pass.
Exactly. Right here,
slow
look.
the tempo a little bit.
A harder pass may get your team out of pressure and playing quicker, but a too hard a pass could make your But too hard of a pass can make it hard on your teammate to control, right? You're testing their first touch. So you don't just want to be pinging it all the time, but the harder the pass, the quicker you get out of pressure. But if you're already out of pressure, there's no point of just playing a harder pass back into pressure. Like the defense isn't going to shift that quick. But like a harder pass could tell a player something. I was telling you this like literally today when we were training, like if you learn the language of the ball, like if you play a hard pass to someone's, across someone's body, it's like, hey, go forward, take the space. But if you're playing it slow, maybe you're like slow in the tempo. You're just trying to move them around and keep the ball for a little bit. But it's really like what I think is players that don't experience this, they don't learn that. So if we don't do rondos till we're freshmen in high school, we lost out on 3 or 4 possible years of doing rondos every day, taking our vitamins every day, that could make us better, right? That we could learn that language of bang, 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 slow it down. Or bang, 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 maybe I play you a pass under pressure, but that's only to change the angle a little bit to split the guys in the middle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's ways to manage the game.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. And you learn that throughout the game. And if you do the rondos right, you start small and you progress it up, and like it's more and more like a game. For my notes here, this pen's terrible. For my notes here, I have pass to the proper foot, soccer as a language, right? Play it to a certain foot. You might be telling someone to bounce it back. Might do that to suck in the defender and play, like I said, you're sucking in the defender, but really you're just changing the angle to split somebody. Might play a pass across someone's body, telling them to open up and play out of pressure. A pass to someone under pressure might just be changing the angle to be able to split defenders. Super important in rondos. Yeah, so it's exactly what we just said. I think I might publish this as a book.
Dude, I think you should give it to your U9 boys team.
Yeah,
package.
yeah. This is your homework. Take notes. I need a 3-page book report. This is actually like 6 pages of notes, but it's a bit wordy. So another skill learned in rondo decision making, right? We just talked about it a lot, but when to play slow, when to play fast. So it's pretty obvious. Like you don't. That's why I also believe pretty heavily in small-sided, because you're learning the flow of the game and how to make decisions. If all you do is unopposed technique work, or all you do is other things, like you don't learn this. And I think the rondo is, while there's no goals, even though you could adapt it to add goals, you're learning like little things of the game, like aspects of the game, to make decisions slow or fast, when to switch play or play it short. Sometimes a short pass is good to suck defenders close to them to open up more options. So I said that a bunch of times, but how many times do you watch Man City or Barca, the tiki-taka that Barca played? right? Not everyone's going to be able to play like that, but how many times is it Busquets and Xavi just bang, 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 and then they play a long pass out of pressure?
Well, yeah, you'll have defenders who are sitting there and they're trying to draw out these defenders.
Yeah.
Just like what we were talking about with the Chelsea game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe they should be playing some more rondos.
Lampard needs to get Chelsea playing some rondos here. But yeah, like you pass to move the other team, right? If you want to move the ball, you could just dribble it up the field. But if you want to move the other team to open up space, you pass the ball or you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So another skill I have written down, combining with teammates and reading the game. So it's very similar to the other stuff, just like when to speed up the tempo of the game. How are the defenders, right? Like, so one of the things in a rondo is maybe what you're playing towards is points or like total passes. So if you get 15 total passes, the two guys in the middle are in again. So let's say you hit a big switch and you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 real quick with your teammate. Like, it's not that as game realistic. You're not learning much, but you're getting your passes in and you're forcing them to defend quicker. Yeah. Another skill is off-ball movement, right? So you got to be ready to receive the ball. If you're not ready, on your toes, like ready, like, so if the ball's coming across my body and my body's closed off, the only option I have is to bounce it back, which could be a good thing sometimes. But if my body's open, I could bounce it back or, open up and see the whole rondo, the whole,
it goes along
the whole
with body
field.
positioning too.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. I think I have body positioning down here.
When I play rondos, it's like you won't get the ball if you're not in the right spot. So if there's an opportunity to be split, if you're not there, then it's probably not going to be split. You know what I mean? Like you got to be able to move into the space, even if it's just a few steps, like 2 steps to your left or right.
Yeah,
and you can move right there and then switch.
So I have here, even in tight areas, if being marked, maybe check away from the ball and then a quick check 2 can allow you a little extra time on the ball or a different angle. So, let's say the ball's with one guy that, you're basically marked. In a real game, like I tell my players a lot, like if you check away, they think you're going long or you're kind of out of somebody has to mark you if you're checking away. Then if you check 2 real quick, it might give you a split second more. So you're fighting for valuable split seconds of time to get on the ball. Same thing with, if you're too close to the guy with the ball, it's easy to mark. So maybe check away, or maybe check 2 to get away and you're receiving the second pass, which is things that like, it's hard to teach a player. You can't just be like, hey, check away to check 2 or check 2 to, get the ball away. They kind of have to learn that movement themselves. Especially the body positioning and the off-ball movement, I think is super important in a one-touch rondo. Highlighting this because a lot of times, especially in one-touch rondos, it's more important to be able to bounce. And then when you get someone that can open their body the right way, it's a switch. But if nobody can open their body, then you're just bouncing it one touch around the circle. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, one touch rondo is quicker. So stuff like those 2 points become bigger factors, I guess.
Yep. Says off-ball movement.
What else you got?
Oh, I have it as a whole other skill. Body position before you receive. Closed body allows for quicker passes but cuts down options. So if you're passing me the ball and I'm facing you, right? Look at my shoulders. You pass me the ball, I literally can only bounce it back or I have to open my whole body. If I'm standing looking at this computer and you pass it across my body, I can still bounce it back to you. But if you play it across my body, I can now open up, see the whole rondo, see the whole circle, see the whole field.
Yeah, and let it roll across your body too.
That's why I talk a lot about I had one coach that never let us play passes to the defensive midfielder, played a 4-1-4-1, never let us play it to the 6. And like, that's a bit extreme, but if you think about it, a lot of times the defensive midfielder, if they're not doing it properly, they're checking straight back for the ball. So like if you play them a bad pass or they take a heavy touch, they're getting pressed and their back is to the goal they're attacking. So it's just like in a rondo, like you should come at an angle and receive it, or you're getting that just to bounce it back and change the angle. Then competitiveness and team building. So it can be a fun warm up, and then there's like certain pass numbers, splits, megs, make someone stay in again. You have like teams that maybe they do some funny punishment like push-ups or like you flick their ear or something like that if they get if they're in too many times.
Yeah, or split.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I always played with splits and megs were always one, and then like a certain number of passes too.
Yeah, me too.
It makes it more intense. Like hopefully your team. Like here's something: if your team doesn't do it regularly, and it's just hey, we're random Tuesday practice, we're doing a 5v2 today, then maybe it's not as intense. But if you do it every day, and you're like, I really want to get better at the rondo, or let's see who we can embarrass in the rondo, then it becomes really intense. You want to win in the rondo, and like in every drill, you should be wanting to win. So in the rondo, it's the same thing. You know how you're winning in the rondo is if you're not getting in the middle and you're embarrassing the other team, or you're at, you ever been in a rondo and it's you get a meg, you get a split, you're at 20 passes, they're going nuts, everyone's going whoa.
You
there's no better
videos of someone getting megged and everyone just going nuts.
Yeah, you want to and same thing with a game. Like if you want to be a possession-based team, you're keeping the ball. You're, Ray Hodgson used to say, death by 1,000 passes, like the old Barcelona tiki-taka. You're just keeping the ball. You're making a move. You're making them work. And in a game, that's how you unlock defenders or defenses, I should say. And in the middle, you should be frustrated when you go to the middle. You shouldn't want to be in the middle of a rondo, right? It means you just lost the ball. And
it's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. And it's how a team should play is like, if you want a really high press, you go get stuck in, you go high press. You want to get the ball back, which is the next skill. Here I have defense in the rondo. So it could teach you to press efficiently, right? If you just go run like crazy, if the players aren't any good, you'll probably get the ball from them, right?
Yeah.
But if you press smart, efficient, you'll learn a lot more. And so it goes back to if your team has pressing triggers, right? So if your team pressures the other team every time they take a bad touch, they're facing the wrong way, there's a slow pass, there's a pass in the air that's hard to control. These things is like a coach should be instilling in the players to go press on. It's the same thing in a rondo. If someone takes a bad touch or takes 3 touches in a rondo, there should be two guys there ready to stomp on him and win the ball back. So I have written down here with one person in the middle, learning pressing triggers, pressing on a bad touch, slow to pass, too many touches. If a player is weak, right? If a player just sucks, go press him. You have 2 players in the middle. You're learning to work as a team, pressure and cover, right? So if one of the rules is not get split or you're in again, you can't get split. So you're pressure and cover. One guy steps to the ball, the other guy covers. You're trying to force the ball to a desired destination. So if a player sucks, maybe you force that player to get the ball and then you pounce on him, right?
I would say trap him.
Yeah, exactly.
In a game, when you're pressing,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the other team center back has it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the striker's not automatically pressing the center back, and then the winger's pressing the outside back. So you might get split. You want them to pass it to the outside back, and then you go press him.
And then the striker maybe splits in. Yeah, and you're trapping them either to the sideline or to out of the rondo or to your teammate, and then that's when and you're closing passing lanes too, which is similar to that. So those are all the skills I had to be learned in a rondo. So to recap, we have passing, decision-making, combining with teammates and reading the game, off-ball movement, body position before you receive, competitiveness and team building, and then defense. Anything you think we missed?
No, I honestly think the defensive part of it's
huge,
pretty important.
Mm-hmm.
Because, so many times you might be outnumbered. You saw my game the other day. How many times I was outnumbered in the middle of the field.
Yeah. You just got to hold a guy up. Don't get beat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then communication.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Being yo, Turner.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot of turning around this.
You get what I mean.
Yeah.
Switch it or something.
Hey, step, I got drop. Set me. You know what I mean? I don't know if I wrote it in my notes here. There's an article about how Liverpool uses rondos to set the tempo when they work on pressing and defending, because Liverpool's pretty high pressing team. So they have rondos designed that as soon as you lose the ball, you go win it back, or what they call it, counter pressing. Or you can't be in the middle for more than 7 seconds or something, because if you're in the middle for too long, it means you're not pressing the right way. You're not flying around the field.
I also think first touch, obviously.
Yeah.
That wasn't like one of your main points, but
Yeah.
like they
Yeah.
get it. Like first touches,
Yeah.
important and everything. But something I would like to touch on is like when you press and then you win the ball back real quick, you'll find yourself in a little like maybe a 3v2,
Yeah.
5v2 right there, and you got to play out of it super quick
Oh,
and switch.
dude, I got a story about this. I was going to talk about it. So,
How do you make a story about this?
so I forget where I saw it, but we were playing, we had a game and we were up, I don't know, 2-0 for our high school team this season. And I said something at halftime, like they were like kind of trapping us at the sideline, but all we wanted to see them was move the ball quickly and switch it, right? Because then you break the team down, it's a 1v1 or whatever. So I was telling them that like in some cultures or people or I don't know, philosophy, they'll say rondo, rondo, rondo. And like when they're saying rondo, what it means is bang, 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 switch it, right? So it's a couple quick passes and then you switch it. And everyone, I don't know, thought it was funny, thought I was just like goofing around, but I was like dead serious. Like that's what people say. So like I could, if I'm on the sideline, I should be able to be like rondo, rondo, rondo. And they should know like bang, 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 let's get it to the other side. Or bang, 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 let's get it out of pressure. You know?
Yeah. They probably think you're Spanish.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a Spanish thing or like a Mexican thing or maybe like a Southern California thing. I don't know. But it's
I don't think it came from Southern California.
I'm pretty sure the video I was watching was a team in Southern Cal, a youth team in Southern California. So here I actually talk about Liverpool. Everyone knows Liverpool like to circulate the ball, box teams deep into their own half, dominate through the midfield and high press. Their press and work rate without the ball is great. It should be. Okay, here it is. You're basically stressing those principles in the rondo. It's not just a drill or like an activity. It's that if you want to keep the ball and pass teams to death, you're doing that in the rondo first before you're doing that on the big field. And you're getting reps at doing that in your thinking as well.
Correct.
Here's one. So I'll just read this paragraph I wrote. I had coaches in the past that would set us up in a rondo and didn't stress the important points. It then becomes just a stagnant possession game with a few touches on the ball. Your team's style can be stressed in rondo. So it's the same thing, right? If you set up a box and there's 5 or 6 dudes standing around and there's 2 defenders, like that could still be helpful. It's better than doing nothing, but you're not getting the full benefit of that. And like, hopefully you're playing for a team that kind of like has its own like culture and identity, but the coach can make that too, you know?
Yep.
So I think it's easy if you're a coach and you're like, if you want to, instill certain few things in a team, you do it in the rondos first and then everything else kind of follows.
I think you got it with the points on the key components of a rondo.
Yeah, I really hit that one hard, didn't I?
Yeah.
All right. Next section. How many decisions? All right. So here's one. You ever hear me talk about 3-4-3, that coaching guy?
Yeah.
So is this like there's I don't know. I guess they're like a coaching company. There's 2 or 3 guys that have coached like some pretty prominent like U.S. youth internationals and whatever, and they make like coaching videos. And like most of the stuff is pretty good, honestly. I think they're pretty smart. But they have a video on their YouTube page, and it was a 3v1 rondo. They're playing 2-touch, and it's a U14 team. And Uli Lanes, who is now capped for the U.S. national team, is defending in the middle. So he's the defender when he was like 14. He's now like 19. So I watched a random player on the outside of this drill. In 1 minute and 10 seconds of this 3v1 2-touch rondo, he got the ball 30 times, completed all 30 passes. So that's 30 under pressure decisions being made. These can be key ball retention moments for a player within the game.
Did you count that?
I watched the video and counted the seconds and then counted the times he got the ball. 16 times he received the ball across his body. So that's the ball's coming from the right. Maybe he takes the first touch with his left and opens up. So half of those times he's switching it, right? The ball's coming in at a decent pace. He's switching it. He's making that guy work. The other 14 times or whatever, maybe he's bouncing it back or making the guy work so he could change the angle. So there was a few times ball comes in across his body, but he just bounces it back. Instead, he gets the ball back and then switches it. So that's in 1 minute and 10 seconds, 30 times. I mean, this is a high-level youth team. but that's a lot of reps. If you play a 2-minute rondo with a team of average 12-year-olds, like that's still a lot of decisions to be made. You know?
Yeah, especially under pressure.
Yeah.
That player now is now Phil Foden.
Yeah, that guy's Phil Foden. Crap, what was I gonna say? Just had a really good thought. Oh man.
It's all right. We were talking about how under pressure.
Under pressure. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. How many times when you're like a youth player or whatever, did people say make triangles and diamonds around the field?
Yeah, triangles.
Did that ever help? Did they ever teach you how to make triangles?
Like, because you watch a professional game and you see, like, they kind of do make triangles.
Okay, but before you were the age of, like, 15, before you really paid attention to soccer, did you know how to effectively, like, beat teams like that?
No.
For me, I had coaches that would say, like, make triangles around the field. Well, that's great, but if you don't practice in triangles, if you don't practice numbers up, like, you don't know how to, like hurt a team or, like penalize, punish a team for defending with less numbers, you know? If you have a 3v2 or 3v1, you should be able to punish the other team.
My coaches would always say there's got to be, like, more than one option when a player gets the ball. So when there's more than one option, then it's 2. That's a triangle.
Yeah.
3 players. So
That's a good idea.
thanks.
So, yeah, I think like it's like a big game. That's why if you ever watch a professional team, they almost never try to attack when they're outnumbered. They attack when their number's up, or most of the time they drop it back and they restart, right? They drop back to the center back and they re-go. That's because they're trying to find these rondo moments, these 3v1s, these 4v2s, 4v3s, where they can go bing, bing, maybe get a guy going one-on-one, or bing, bing, hit a through ball, right? And at the higher levels, the more time, if you give a player with the ball time to get his head up, he'll probably play a nice through ball or a nice long ball. So just like in a rondo, if you're the defending team and you give that guy time to get his head up, they're going to hit a few passes and you might be in the middle again.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
About some variations of the rondo.
Yeah, that's my next point. Here's a couple pages. So first variation, I would say, is very basic, 3v1. I think it's one of like the best one if you can get it right, because it could be for young players, even like older players too. You could play a 2-touch rondo with 3v1, and you know they're getting a lot of touches. Great for youth players. Can teach angles off and off-ball movement. Can start unlimited touch or 2-touch. Maybe you do it 1 touch and it's really hard on the off-ball movement.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with young players, if it's too hard, like I said, you can give the middle player a ball so it like slows them down, but they're also getting touches, and they have to get their head up while they're dribbling too. Have you ever done a 3v1 rondo? I don't think I ever have.
Yeah. What do you mean? You never done 3v1 rondo?
Maybe like if you're just fooling around and you're just kicking the ball, but like in practice, I've never done a 3v1 rondo.
Yeah, I did one a few weeks ago. That was the one variation I was going to tell you about. But
yeah, I like it.
I guess we can get to that soon.
4v1, similar to a 3v1, but like I would like to set this up in a box. So this is also could be for young players or like developing players. Couple things to stress is if you set up a 4v1 rondo as a rectangle, right? You essentially have a player on each end and then players on the long side of a rectangle. So those players on the long side of the rectangle are responsible for checking to the player with the ball and either opening up their body and playing the switch to the other side of the short side of the rectangle. You picture what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe they're bouncing it back and then they open it up again. Very rarely are you going to have both long sides of the rectangle playing across, or both short sides of the rectangle playing across. So you're using the 2 outside people, making the field big, like I said, I stressed on my boys team. And you're either bouncing it, and you have to – the only way you're going to turn and play the switch is if you let it come across your body.
Yeah.
So you're learning that. And then maybe if the person on the short side of the rectangle has the ball and you're the person on the right side of the long side of the rectangle, maybe you check away, you try and get the defender to come with you a little bit, and then you check back too to bounce it or open up.
Okay. Mr. Rondo.
4v2, just like a harder version, I guess. 4v2 rondo. You have the standard.
Seems tough.
It does.
For the attacking team.
Yeah, but it's basically just a 5v2 with one less guy. You could kind of stand in a square, and I don't know. It depends how it's going. 5v2, standard 5v2 is a good start for youth players. Same principles can be stressed. Like we talked about this a bunch of times already today. I remember in college, we would just play 5v2. Didn't help, you know. We didn't do it every day. We didn't take our vitamins every day. If I take a fish oil supplement once a week, am I going to get better? Is my, or a vitamin D supplement? No, you got to do it every day. If I take my Rondo supplement every training, then I get better at that stuff that I'm working on.
Fish oil supplement.
I don't know, what else is there? You know, it's a good supplement.
The vitamin C or whatever.
Yeah, but I don't think vitamin C is as important as fish oil.
The gummies.
Yeah, I don't think the gummies are doing anything for you, bro.
Are you saying the gummies are the 5v2s?
No,
and the fish oils, the 3v1s?
Yeah. That's actually going like the 5v2, the gummies they'll get the job done, but the fish oil and the 3v1s, that's what you want, man.
Gotcha.
Now the 4v2s, that might be a vitamin D supplement.
Yeah.
So yeah, like in college, we had no idea what we were working on. There'd just be times we're playing 5v2 for the heck of it. So like I said, it's not a waste of time, but you're losing valuable time. Then I said, once it gets to 6v2, it gets much more advanced. So then you have different progressions off of that. Let's see. So once it gets bigger, like I said, once it gets bigger than like a 4 or 5v2, I'd progress. So maybe you have a couple different boxes, right? And, one defender in each box, or maybe 2 defenders in a box and 1 defender in a box. Obviously, you want to play the rondo with the 1 defender because it's easier, right? So you're going to switch it to that box. So you're either getting your passes in there, or you have 2 defenders in one box, 1 defender in one box. You switch it to the box with 1 defender. Then a defender can come in, and now it's 2. So you want to get the passes in and switch it quickly again back to the box it just came from, because now that has the 1 defender. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's literally the same things you're working on in the game. So that one kind of ends up as like a 6v3 or so. Essentially making the point to switch the ball in the box with 1 defender before the other one can come help out. Like most rondos, it's decisions, body position, quick passing technique, little off-ball movements. Another variation is to progress into a directional rondo with a target man on each side and a decent-sized rectangle, have 1 neutral in the middle. Okay, so here, if you have a big rectangle, 4v4 in the middle, 2 enders on the short side of the rectangle, 1 neutral in the middle. So it's essentially a 7v4, right? So if you think of the enders or the neutral players, whatever, as like targets, goals, whatever, and then you have a center mid in the middle to help, and the 4 players spread out and make the field as big as they can, you have a pretty big 7v4, 3-man advantage. And by making the field big, you can take advantage of the extra space, the extra men you have.
I feel like I see that one on
That's
Barcelona's training.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where you got that one from? I feel like they always
Barca, Liverpool, City. I've seen it
I feel like they use the one with the guy in the middle a lot.
Yeah, this one's pretty mainstream as like a rondo variation. It's one of my favorites. And then think about that. You're down 3 men. Team not in possession must press together, force the ball to the outside, the corners, pounce on bad touches, bad passes, a backward-facing player. So that's definitely when you're that like in that big of a space, but numbers down, you really got to work on winning the ball back efficiently, right? Maybe you don't go press high every time because one little chip ball or through ball gets you beat. But if the guy's taking too long in the corner, you go press him and keep him in that corner. That's where you win the ball back. So like I put here, team in possession spreads out in some sort of shape to take advantage of being 3 men up, making it something like a 1. So that's a neutral, a 1-2-1-2-1. Right. So basically, if you're talking about lines, you have a neutral, your 2 wide players, the other neutral, 2 more wide players, and the other neutral. So just like, and then when you're passing, you're working on breaking lines, just like in a game. If you're a center back or a center mid trying to progress it up to the next level, very similar.
Interesting.
And if it's not there, if you're being pressed pretty well, you just bounce it back and restart.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe as it's being bounced back and switched, you adjust your body position to see more of the field. And you start again. Ideally, the team in possession is playing penetrating passes and able to work it from neutral to neutral. So similar to what I just said. You ever played that one?
No, I actually never heard of it.
But you've seen it online.
I've never heard of the positions that you just explained.
Oh, well, it's
like
not really
that.
positions, but that's essentially what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
If you want, you really could get positional and make it like a positional type of rondo.
Okay.
Here's something cool. Can make rondos directional or even positional. Every time I go into something like this, it leads me to my next point, which is just next in my notes, right? And it's like, I'm just a smart guy. I don't know. Here it is. I think we talked about this before. There's a U.S. men's national team video on YouTube where they're in their 4-3-3 shape, which they were going to play in a friendly a couple months ago. And there's another team pressing. The pressing team tries to win the ball and go to mini goals in a tight area. Here, the attacking team in the 4-3-3 must quickly win the ball back after they give it away to prevent goals while also maintaining possession of the ball and using the full depth, height, and width of the area, right? So you're making the field as big as you can. And as soon as you lose it, you go put pressure on the ball to win it back, stop them from playing penetrating passes out of pressure.
Yeah. What is that? How many people are in that one?
I don't know how many were on the defensive team. I
But
think
it's just a 4-3-3 shape.
Yeah. So literally you lined up with 2 center backs, 2 outside backs, whatever. And it's very similar. So I think they
love that video, by the way.
Oh, dude, they're pinging. We got to put a link somewhere so people can go watch it because that is just fantastic.
Put it
to
right
watch.
here on the YouTube.
Link in description. But it's really just a link to our merch.
Dropping soon.
So yeah, like I don't know if there was a pass limit, like maybe you need a certain number of passes before the attacking 4-3-3 team can go to a goal, but it makes sense, right? You're in your position, and then you learn if you're a right winger, I need to create a little space and get involved, but maybe my pass is just bouncing it back to the center mid, or maybe I try to open my body, let it come across, and play one into the forward, and the forward's working on maybe his back to goal because he's just trying to bounce it different ways and maintain possession.
Before you go into your last one, can I explain the one that I did a few weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
So it was about a big grid, about 20 yards by 20.
Big grid.
And then there's a small one in the middle, big enough for like a 3v1.
Mm-hmm.
And
love a 3v1. That's official, right?
So the three were in pennies, and there's one guy not in penny. And you had the 3 in pennies had to keep the ball a 3v1 rondo as long as they can. And once the guy in the middle won it, he plays it out. And there's about 6 or 7 guys on the outside who weren't obviously involved in the 3v1.
Yeah.
Once the dude who was in the middle of the 3v1 wins it, they play it. He plays it out there, and then now the 3 who are in the 3v1 have to now defend.
Yeah. So they got
the big one. So it's like it's working on keeping the ball, and then once they lose it, defending it.
They got to go defend, and the guys on the outside need to be ready to help out.
Yeah.
Right. Like they got to be in position. I don't know. Let's see. I might talk about it in this last paragraph, but I did one towards the end of the high school season. I didn't get to do like a ton of rondos this year, but there's one, I don't know, maybe 6 guys on the outside, 3 in the middle. So 6v3, but +1. So there's 1 guy on the attacking team in the middle. So then you put a guy who normally plays center mid there, and maybe you give him restrictions, or like you get a point every time it goes into the center mid and out. So then you're working on getting it maybe, sometimes the middle of the park is clogged up. You get it into pressure and out of pressure. Or you could see a split. You play a penetrating pass, see if that guy could turn or bounce it back outside of pressure. So you give that guy different roles,
Yeah, I thought of another one that I did actually last year from my college team.
Mm-hmm.
We had a coach from Spain, and he coached at Atletico Madrid.
Mm-hmm.
And he always did rondos whenever he would come do a session. But it was 4v1 both ways. So there was it was 3v1 in one box, 3v1 in another box, and I was in the middle, and I'm playing in both
as an attacking player.
Yeah, so he put the center mids there, like all the center mids, they were the middle guys, and so it was harder for me because I had to know when to play with one side or play with the other side.
Did you try and
I had to make sure, like, I had to check my shoulders and stuff.
So when you were in the middle, did you try and like back up so you could
not middle, like defending, like
the middle of between the two rondos?
Between the two.
Did you end up standing right in the middle and just checking your shoulders, or did you back up so you could see?
I kind of played towards like the edge. I couldn't really stay in the middle because you can't.
It's just like a game when I talk about body position.
Then you would have to turn 360, and that's just
360 no scope.
Well, no, not 360.
180.
Well, yeah,
whatever, kind of
full body.
But it's similar in the game. It's like if you're playing defensive mid, you don't want to just be facing that sideline the ball's on because maybe you could bounce it back. But if your body is open to see the whole field, let it come across your body and switch it, or just play it back. So I don't know if that probably wasn't the focus of what that guy wanted from you, but like you learned that because of it,
Yeah. But sometimes you would have, I'd be getting two passes at once. And I'd be like, oh snap.
So what happens if you get a pass and play it to the other rondo?
Nothing. There's two balls going at once.
Oh,
but it's not that I didn't. Sorry if I didn't explain that correctly.
No, I got it. So it's 3v1s,
3v1s, and then I'm in the
so do you
middle
ever
of the two, and I play in both. So
what
it's a 4v1 sometimes and a 3v1 in the other.
Do you ever just bounce it back to another rondo?
No, you only played the pass in that one rondo.
Oh, so you can't switch it?
No.
Oh,
there's two balls going at once.
All right, that's better because I was going to say if you could switch it, that would mess it up. But all right, that makes sense now. That's pretty cool. Like we're talking about these.
I still had to adjust my body because I didn't know like when another ball would come. You
basically play that little position in each rondo where like you're just kind of tucking into that spot.
I don't know if you ever heard of that one.
I haven't, but like I'm sure there's a lot more that we don't know either. That you can just kind of make them up too. But as we're talking about these variations, it's also important to realize that in rondos, you don't want to do something that's just going to confuse the players, right? If you got to make it your vitamins, you're taking it every day, you're doing a certain rondo every day, but then maybe every other day you're adding in a variation or you're working on a variation. You can't just throw in 5 minutes of a super complex rondo just to challenge them, but they don't get it. You kind of want them to learn how to do that rondo. So you learn you know what I mean? If you want to just work on passing, you put them in lines and go pass. But you want to learn how to defeat the rondo almost.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, whoever can count the amount of times we said rondo in this episode, tweet us and we'll send you out something.
Yeah. We'll send them we'll put them in the middle of our rondo.
Ooh. Nobody wants to be in the middle of our rondo.
Yeah. Oh, we get them good. Ear flicks for days. I have 2 more paragraphs here. Other rondo variations can be an emphasis on playing through the middle. Oh, here could be a 6v3 rondo with a 7th player in the middle. See, I always talk about it before. With a 7th player in the middle of the area, meaning he looks to find pockets of space, could reward or punish each team for passes into the middle. Another variation could be a 3v3v3. So either 3v3 in the middle with 3 neutrals on the outside, right? So let's say it's a 3v3 just possession game. The team in possession can use the 3 on the outside. Mm-hmm. To win the ball and keep the ball with the other 3, or while one team of the 3, or 3v3 with a defending 3 trying to win the ball and keep the ball from the other 3, while one team of 3 has the help of the outside players, then making it a 6v3, but those 3 stay in the middle. All right, that makes sense. Or you could, if you have 12 players, it's literally the same thing. So let's say you have red versus greens, right? 3 reds, 3 greens. They could use, if the green team has the ball, they could use the 3 greens on the outside. If red has the ball, they can use the 3 reds. So it's the same thing, but you're just involving 3 more guys. So you're just adapting to more players, but it's essentially the same thing.
Dude, as we're talking about this, I didn't realize how every drill is basically a rondo.
Oh, gosh, dude, light bulb went off. Obviously, like, the game is a rondo.
No, like literally like every game is a rondo. Why'd you just yell?
Because it hit my point.
Like I didn't even think about it, but like even last night at practice, like I thought it was just like a possession game, but it's a rondo.
Yeah, possession games I think it's harder to keep the ball because they're probably even numbers of teams, right? Like it's 6v6 or 7v7, but the purpose, like you could throw out a possession game and just be like, just ping it for a little bit.
Same principles.
Yeah. Now, one thing I want to say is, growing up, we didn't play a lot of rondos, but we played a lot of possession games, which I think is good because you're playing. But a lot of times, non-directional possession games, a square and 6v6 in the middle. I don't think you learn as much as in a rondo, because I found myself like I'd be able to float in these possession games. And if I was confident and wanted the ball, I'd go hunt the ball and ask for it all the time. If I didn't want it, I could go hide in a corner and position myself to where only a spot I felt comfortable getting the ball. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of times it's rondo progression, and maybe like directional possession or something like that. And then like a full-sided game. That's like the best way to build it up. And I think a non-directional possession game is good for getting the ball pinging, getting the legs loose, that kind of stuff. I don't think if you're a great team in a rondo, I think you're a great team on the field. If you're a great team in a non-directional possession game, I think it's harder to be a good team. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Yeah, because I just think back to like me as a freshman in high school playing club soccer, and we played non-directional possession games all the time, and I just found myself floating, right? I would just float. I didn't play position. And like the ball would come to me, I just play the way I'm facing, and never learn how to turn, never learn how to like find pockets of space as the position I'm playing. And like, that's it. Which is why I think I'm still pretty good at non-directional possession games.
Humble brag.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm also pretty nice at rondos, I would think.
Yeah.
Well, that's also because I care the most. Like with the high school kids, I'll hop in and we're a really good team. So like obviously the players are good and we're good at rondos. But I hop in and I'm like asking for the ball and demanding for the ball. I get in the middle and I'm mad and I want to get out. Well, some dudes, like some people might just be there, just knocking the ball around, having a good laugh. That's not it. You're wasting your time. If you want to have a good laugh, go play some two-touch or some soccer tennis before practice.
Yeah. Love some soccer tennis too.
Soccer tennis is good. Two-touch is good. Like those are all fun games, but you take someone who's
But
really
rondo's fun too. Like it's not.
Yeah, it's supposed to be fun, but you got to make it intense.
Take it like that serious.
Yeah.
Like
So, all right. So let's say that's the end of my notes. To end this, let's say you're a coach and you want to start implementing rondos in your session. How do you do it?
me personally,
I mean, based on maybe what we talked about, or how would you do it?
basically what you talked about, probably 3v1.
Oh, okay.
That's your go-to.
Play Vitamins by Mac Miller.
But what?
I said Play Vitamins by Mac Miller.
I don't think I've heard that song. But yeah, 3v1. I'd want them to get the concept of what we're trying to work on down first.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just throw them right into it and be like, well, this is a rondo, guys.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it definitely shouldn't take the place of what you want to do as a team. If you want to build out of the back and play, every six kick and every goalkeeper's ball out of the back, like work on that. But the rondo could be a tool to help, or a tool to start practice, or a tool to
get warmed up.
Yeah, well, more than a warm up, but set those principles and get them pinging a little bit.
I like 5v2 the most.
Yeah, it's the most standard, and I think it's easier to get splits and megs. One time we had like 3 minutes before we could get on the turf field, so we were on the grass field at school when I was coaching the high school this year. So I said there was freshmen practicing with us. I said all the freshmen and sophomores in the middle. So it was like 18 guys versus like 5 in the middle, and it was like this giant rondo. Obviously, you're not getting enough touches, but it's fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think like ideally for me, if you're not working on anything like super specific, like playing out of the back or like attacking patterns to goal, I think you could get a really good session just by going basic rondo progression, giving them some time to work through the progression, then maybe a directional possession game, and then like a small sided or something like that. And that's not going to make your team, like you're not going to be
Barcelona.
Yeah, you're not going to have the tactics, but you could teach certain principles in those that you want your team to implement, while also giving them a directional element and how to, implementing different things.
Yeah, and this has to be said, the Johan Cruyff.
Let us hear it.
Short, but has a lot of meaning. Everything that goes on in a match except shooting, you can do in a rondo. That's it. Yeah, from Johan Cruyff himself.
I think there's more to that quote.
No, there's a period. No, that's it.
But yeah, there is pretty much everything you could do. You could do a rondo into some shooting too. Like think about it. If you really wanted, not saying this is like if you really wanted to work on technique, like you're not going to get enough reps. But if you really wanted to, you could do a
Rondo
3v1
rondo turns and shoots.
Yeah, into a guy who turns and shoots, or maybe a 3v1. And if you complete the fifth pass, maybe you have to play a through ball on the fifth pass, and someone has to be thinking ahead and get in behind, and you shoot. So you could manipulate it different ways.
I got you.
And just to end, like I always talk about what I see like on the youth soccer field and like how I coach youth teams, and like I always think that players for the most part need to be making decisions, right? Unopposed or opposed decisions. Like I said with that U14 player, Uli Lanez, the Rondo, the 3-4-3, whatever. That guy in a minute and 10 seconds made 30 decisions. Now think about for that minute and 10 seconds, other than the 30 times he got the ball, he's also looking at the ball, looking at the other player, adjusting his body to be able to receive it a certain way. So for that full 1 minute and 10 seconds in a 3v1 rondo, he's making decisions the whole time. Now think about like a coach who makes his players like stand in lines and do something, or like sit there and watch while the coach just demonstrates stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so.
Maybe it's just my style, but like,
What do you mean? Why would they stand and watch while someone?
If there's just
something,
like there's just when a team's not active,
you got to demonstrate.
Yeah, but if it's happening too much and they don't get to work through, I'm saying if you set up a drill and you just keep making it like too complex, that's all I mean. If they're standing in lines before dribbling or before doing
don't
something.
make it too complex. The rondo.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying I've seen drills or been a part of drills that are just do this and we'll work on it, and it's not game like or whatever. But you could do this stuff in a rondo and make decisions all the time. A little bit like how I put youth players in 1v1s all the time, try to make them play 1v1, which gets old. I could tell it gets old for them after a while. So I try to make it fun and add, make like little adjustments. Same thing as a rondo. You're making decisions. You have an opponent to beat. It's very game-like.
A question not about rondo for you, but
No, I'm not going to answer it then.
No. What are you going to do if like your players don't turn out the way you want them to be from coaching them up, like doing 1v1s a lot?
Oh, I mean, I could always do something else, but I know 100% for a fact that they're getting more out of that than they are of like.
When do you expect to see like
results?
Yeah.
I don't care about the results.
Well, eventually you want them to be good.
Yeah, but all right. Well, I tell them all the time I don't care about the score of the game, because you're 9 years old, and if a kid has a big foot and a fat kid up top, we'll probably just plow through my guys. But if we complete a few decent passes, but what I care about most is like, can they keep the ball under pressure and hopefully get by defenders?
Yeah, but do they have that winning mentality though?
Are they warriors? Well, that's why I'll just make them.
No, I'm being honest. Like, what if they're used to losing?
Like, all right, like I think the winning mentality is super important, and it's brought American soccer super far. But I think then if you have a ton of skilled players, right? If you have 100 skilled players, and maybe some of them are so skilled, but 25% of them don't have the winning mentality, but the other 75 do have that winning mentality just instilled in them, then hopefully the skill base that you build up is so big that you have those players.
It's a team effort. Everyone's got to be having that.
What does that have to do with what I just said?
You said 75% of the team. It's not the whole team.
And you pick your players. That's by the time they're old enough for that, you coach things into them. Maybe they fade off. I get what you're saying, and like I'm sure, but do the kids? All right, kids roll up and they think they're like Superman or Batman or like, you know what I mean? Like they're not
superheroes.
No, like I'm just thinking of like a little kid. You're playing 1v1s or having fun. Like they don't care about winning as much as their parents do. So I don't care if they lose 3-0 or win 6-0. I want to see good soccer.
Yeah, but what if like someone at the club doesn't approve of your like losses?
That I don't care, then I'd get fired. I don't. I wouldn't coach I wouldn't coach this team a different way if I thought I just need to get wins.
Eventually, like you're gonna have to see wins though, because isn't that the whole point? Like I'm just saying, like
all right, if if it's with my team for right now and they're 9 years old, by the time they're like 12, I hope they're like winning games, but I hope they're playing good soccer and they know how to beat a defender, dribble, stay on the ball under pressure, and then you start working on the other stuff.
But the goal is to have these kids win.
Okay, but if they're 10 years old and they win because a kid hits a 20-yard free kick because he has a big foot and it goes over the goalie's head, does that matter 5 years down the road when they actually need to win in high school or college or professional or semi-professional or men's league? No. That's why I don't place winning is important for sure, but I don't place value in winning at the youth levels as much as a lot of people do. Like I would never, I'm never going to be like, I hope we escape this game with a win. Like for a team morale standpoint, that's great. But from my point of view, like my U9 team, we started out like 0-3. Like we lost every game by like just about the max, like by like 6 goals. And it didn't seem like they were losing their like spirit. And then we got closer and we had a really good game, but we lost. And then we won our next game and everyone was buzzing, but it wasn't like it's not like the whole mood changes. You're not in the locker room like singing after a win. You're just playing good soccer and the soccer progresses. The results came.
Now, when you're coaching high school, that's different.
That's different. But
your goal next year is probably to win every game you guys play.
Yes, but you talk to Jake. I feel like we should have Jake on the podcast, honestly. But all the coaches at the prep, I think we're all pretty much bought into we're not going to sacrifice our style of play just to get like an extra win. Like Jake would say to our players all the time, like we're playing out of the back. Like it might cost us goals. It might cost us that goal might cost us a game, but like he doesn't care. Like that's how we're playing, you know?
Yeah.
And our goal is
system he wants to create.
Yeah, possession based, high pressing.
New coaching staff too. So
yeah. You're setting a culture. And if the culture is just grinding out games, that's great. But that's how you get into holes that certain college programs are in where you're grinding out games because you're hitting set pieces and you're hitting teams on the counter and it's not really sustainable. And if you're in the business of developing players, that's not how you develop players to me. That was a nice little rant alongside of a nice Rondo episode. You have anything else to say? I'm kind of tired of talking.
I don't even want to say the word anymore.
All right. The name of this episode is definitely going to be Rondo, Rondo, Rondo.
Just name it Rondo 101.
No, that's basic. It's going to be Rondo, 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 exclamation point. Rondo, exclamation point, Rondo, exclamation point, Rondo, exclamation point.
No, the upside down exclamation point.
Because it's Spanish? Yeah. All right. I'll look into that. Anything else? I don't know if my keyboard has that, by the way.
You can get it. No.
All right. So that's it. How long have we been recording? I don't know.
I have no clue, but 4:22. We got rondos at 4:30.
Oh, we got rondos at 4:30 while we're watching the NFL.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. Anything else?
Nothing. All
right, dude. This is a solid episode. Clap me up, bro. All right. Episode 17. See you.
Take care.